All right, Ray, tell me about door knocking. What'd you do?
Well, I took I went to all my expireds. I got an expired list. I got 38 people in my area, and I went and knocked doors. 2 o'clock. I don't go until 2 o'clock in the afternoon because nobody's home in the morning, or they don't answer the door. Anyways, most of the time, so I knocked 8 doors, and I talked to 6 people, and I just gave them the 3-pager.
Good.
The 3-pager, which I have already physically mailed to them, a little over 2 weeks ago now. And I think of the 8 people that answered the door, 4 of them wouldn't even open the door because I don't think they have ever been door knocked ever before. and I haven't door knocked in probably 2 years or more.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've done it, and people are freaked out. Nobody here, no one knocks on your door. They just don't do that. Yeah. And people, they crack the door open and they don't know, who could this possibly be right now?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, hi, my name's Ray Johnson. I see that I thought your house was for sale, and I kind of do the look around. I thought your house was for sale. I was in your neighborhood a while ago. I thought I saw a sign in your front yard. I'd made a note of it, and I just meant to stop by, give you some free information on, I don't know if your house is, maybe you've sold your house, but in any case, and then I just stuff it to the door.
Just let me pull you away just right there. I'm just asking. You ever think instead of saying that preamble, instead you could say the following? And I'm not saying what you said is wrong. I'm not saying what you said won't work. But it's kind of like, look, I'm sorry to bug you, but did you have a for sale sign out here listed with an agent, or am I losing my mind here? I drove by here. I thought I wrote down the number. I can't find it. Is this for sale? And stop there. And the reason why is if it's for sale, if it's an expired listing, they'll at least give you that yes. Even through the chain. Yeah, it's still for sale. Right? And you collect that first yes. But whenever anybody introduces themselves, it's like the hair goes on the back of their neck. Oh, I got a salesman. Oh, I got somebody that's trying to push something at me. And I'm ready to shut that door as fast as I can. It's like that. When somebody says, how you doing on the phone at 7 p.m., it's the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
How you doing? You having a good night? Like, who the fuck are you? I don't have time for this. What are you selling?
Yeah.
That's what's coming out of, And this is how the consumer is conditioned. So what you said is there's nothing wrong with it, but it's kind of like you've got to get them into, is the house still for sale, regardless of who you are. They don't care who you are, right? They don't care what your name is. They don't care, If you look like a buyer that's got money, they care about that. Do you see the just different?
Yeah, I do.
It's very subtle. It's not a real here's black, here's white. But it's understanding the consumer's reluctance to talk to strangers. It's understanding that. And it's also understanding that just getting that door a little bit further open, is your job. Your job is to get that door a little bit more open. And how to do that is to find out if the house is still for sale. And a good way to do that is to talk about the sign. I could have sworn there was a sign up, Century 21, I can't even remember. You just make it, and I thought I wrote down at least the address, and I'm coming back, and I don't see the sign anymore. Is it sold? And the average consumer that had an expired listing will at least tell you it hasn't sold yet. And then you could put a little emotion into the next step, and the next step is like, oh, great, it hasn't sold yet. I would love to see this house. It doesn't have to be right now, but I would love to see this house. And now you put some emotion into that, right? Now, what are they going to say to somebody that would love to see their house?
Yeah, they're most likely going to be a little bit more open.
They're most likely going to receive you on a positive basis. They're going to at least listen to you. And you don't have to give them that 3-pager, right? You don't have to be that peddler at that point. It's kind of like you only pull that thing out unless they're like, really giving you a lot of resistance, And then at last resort, you give them that 3-pager. But here's the ideal thing with the expired is get in that house on a favorable basis, even if you're doing a quick walkthrough and not all decision makers aren't there. And the next step would be set another time to see both.
Yeah.
And at least try to build some rapport with them while you're in the house. Now, what do you think of the difference between those two? With what I said and what you did?
Well, the difference right away, just quickly telling you what I had done and what my experience was and how you've changed it a little bit is, I came across instantly to that person behind the front door that I had something to sell. I just put I was just acting. I didn't realize what the outcome would be, but that's what was happening. So with what you're saying is more so of, you're not really, you're not selling anything. You're certainly not. They don't get the impression you have something to sell. You're interested in buying their house. Pretty big difference.
Yeah.
So you're getting away from being the peddler. And the challenge I have is, obviously, this is the second time I've started knocking doors. And the first time I did it, I really didn't get a response. There was nobody home. And I don't know why that was really, but that doesn't matter. Anyways, this second time was quite an eye-opener on people don't even want to answer their door because and I'm not going to talk about, my market's this or my market's that because it is what it is. It's just, I don't think people are very intimate here.
No, they're not. They're very protective. They watch the LA news. And you ever watch the LA news?
I try not to.
The LA news always has some gore between 4 and 6.
Yeah.
Always has gore. If you want newspapers to be read, there has to be blood. There has to be murder. There has to be crime. There has to be gore. And a lot of people are frightened.
Yeah. And honestly, Brian, for me to go knock doors, that goes against a lot of my intuition to do that. Not interested in that activity for that reason. Because you know what?
Yeah.
As long I've lived in Southern California for the best part of 10 years. I probably have answered my front door 2 times. You can knock my door right now. I won't get off my chair. I know better. I'm not
well, this is why I think a good REI company should hire a very attractive woman to door knock.
Yeah.
I mean a hot girl. I mean somebody 22 years old knocking on a door. It's the most unthreatening looking thing in the world.
Totally agree. I totally agree.
And then, you say, was this house for sale? you know, and see if it's still for sale, you know. My business partner would love to see this house. Is it okay that I just see like 3 minutes in and out of the house just to get a feeling for the floor plan? Would that be possible? And just to show you that I'm a real person, here's my driver's license, whatever, make them feel like you're not doing a home invasion, it's like there's not 3 guys behind her, jumping, trying to burglar their house.
Brian, one thing I want to mention, and I completely agree with you on that point with the attractive lady, and even the female, okay? Even just a female, because there's so much less perceived intimidation and what could they do, and there's all that, right? But the other thing I found, because this, on Saturday and not the last time I did it, I randomly, as I had my list of my expireds, I randomly stopped at listed houses. I didn't know anything about them. I just stopped there. Different deal. Because they're in that current mind frame, that mindset of people are knocking on their doors, especially now that there's a perceived hot market. Yeah. People, actual Jane and John Smith home buyers, they're actually doing that. There are some desperate buyers out there who are going to go and knock on a for sale door. So that was a little easier, but you're talking about people that have a listed property that's been on the market for a week. They don't need to talk to me right now, really, but they're much more open to taking anything I'm willing to suggest to them. They don't have such a problem with being pitched to, because I really didn't change what I said to them a whole bunch that I did to the expired.
Let me just review a few things. The expired, you knock on their door, they're surprised to see you. Okay, they're reluctant to talk to you. Throwing information at them right away isn't necessarily the easiest thing to do, because they're depressed right now about selling their house at all, and they just think that, and they've already probably gotten some calls from competing real estate agents that are trying to relist, so they're on the defensive. Yep. And the only thing that's going to interest the expired is you as a buyer, and for you to say, hey, is this house for sale or what? What's going on? And then and don't do it salesy. Talk like a human being that's a kind of a buyer, And there's nothing wrong with saying, like a buyer would say, like, well, what was your price anyway? What did you want for this place? Much like a guy that's acting like a buyer for a car that's for sale. What do you want for it? Because that's what buyers say. Agents don't say that. Agents try to build all this rapport like we're doing, and all this other stuff. If you act like a buyer, you can get access to seeing the floor plan a lot of the time. I know we're guys, and if it's only mom at home, there's no way you're getting in that house, Mm-hmm. And if you can always have empathy for their situations, is look, I understand if you don't want to let me in. It's kind of like giving them an out. I wouldn't want my sister letting anybody in if they didn't know. But here's my driver's license if this will make you feel better. This is who I am. I just would like to see the inside of the house if that's possible. And they can always say no. And if you can compass it with like, that's fine. If you don't want to invite me in, I really understand. Is there a time when I could just see the inside of the house with your husband present? Something like that. So that's kind of the thing with the expired. You want to be able to say, the guy came over this afternoon looking at the house. He thought it was still for sale. Yeah. That's all you can do.
Well, I think it's a lot different too because, like you said, they're going to be getting follow-up from competing realtors since it has expired. And who has probably come to their front door and asked if they could buy their house? Probably nobody. People have come to list it, and they've given them the same pitch over and over, but nobody showed up and said, hey, I thought your house was for sale. I'm looking to buy a house.
Yeah.
I need to buy a house in this neighborhood. Well, who's ever said that to you?
Probably very few,
So that's a different approach. It takes you away from having something to sell, and it changes you into being someone who wants to buy.
Something else you could do on an expired, you could put a little post note on their house, right?
Yeah.
And it could say something like, I thought your house was listed, question mark. If it's still for sale, could you call me? Ray, phone number.
Yeah.
Or you could put it on there, like that sticky note. The yellow sticky note, just the like a 3-inch by 3-inch one. And, you could put it at eye height right on the door and with a little piece of tape so it doesn't, blow off.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of pre-foreclosure people do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very time consuming to do that. You have to be prepared. You've got to have your maps down. You got to know where you're going, and then you're physically driving around, walking around.
And it's gas.
It took me.
And I know it's time.
And 3 hours to get 8 doors open.
How long for 8 doors?
3. I spent 3 hours. I was gone from my house for 3 hours. I mean, because my market's pretty close to my front door, I wasn't driving far, but I was driving all over the place and then walking and so.
Well, here's an idea, and I think you'll like this idea. You go to an REIA and say the following: get up, you talk to the president and say, I'd like to make an announcement, and I'm looking for some bird dogs. And we've got a website for them to go to and everything. We pay them per deal, and especially people that have very little time and very little money, and they're working a job and they just want to make some extra cash, like $500 a deal. All they got to do is get a lead that works. They don't have to present to the seller and get a contract. They just need a lead that works. And you would, if he gives you permission, alright, and you could make up a little business card. I put together, I don't like the video, I'd have to redo the video, and I have no problem with you making a video for the front page of it, but it's birddogcash.com. birddogcash.com. So take a look at that, and an idea would be, you try to find that woman that would door knock. An idea would be at the Corona Riverside REIA, you try to find that woman. And then go on Craigslist and try to find that woman. Alright? We would like, and you can't discriminate, so you gotta be able to say, we're looking for a bird dog to door knock leads. And, you can't discriminate, so you just gotta throw out all the guys. Another idea would be to go down to community college, and at the community college, look for either business or marketing majors. And tell them that you are doing an internship. And if you do this well on a consistent basis, you will get a letter of recommendation which will help them go further in their education, whether it's graduate school or further ahead. And you need to talk to the head of the department. Now, 90% of all internships aren't paid. You know, they're not paid.
Yeah.
But what you want to offer is a letter of recommendation plus if they can prove themselves worthy, their expenses will be reimbursed, like gas and so forth. It's like people that are hanging signs, you know, you want to pay for their gas and their materials, but you don't give them any income until they get a deal. Now, these are just ideas that have worked in the past as far as getting Bird Dog to work your plan, help you work your plan. Now, your time's valuable, you know. Like you said, you got to be in that chair on the phone.
Yeah. You know, Brian, I really wanted to spend the time and the effort to knock those doors to kind of, because like I said earlier, I haven't done it in a while. And this is a pretty focused activity. These people, I've searched the property type, I've searched the geography, I know who it is that's behind that front door. It's a lot different than just going to a neighborhood and just randomly knocking doors.
Sure.
A lot different than that. But at the end of the day, it's a major time consumer. It's hugely time consuming, and your hit rate. You know, here I am on a Saturday, one day of the week. We've got short days right now.
Yep.
You can't really do that in the evenings. And realistically, honestly, I don't see it as a good use of my time if I'm out there seven nights a week knocking doors. You need to focus that energy on an afternoon and just get what you get.
What do you think about, you know, subbing that out?
Well, I think it's like most things. Absolutely. But you've got to find the person to do it.
I know.
And I'm going to be good at it in the first place. You know,
I'll tell you what, right? You get the prospects, I'll close them for you. Right? Let's get some prospects. Yeah. And it would take you going down the REIA and being focused on Bird Dog.
Yeah, you know what? Until I never really thought of it. I did have it in my mind about the Post-it notes. I did have that in mind because that's a really easy thing to sub out, and it's not expensive. I mean, you can get companies to do that.
Sure.
I don't know if I can really.
The girl can handwrite them out. They don't need to be printed. You know, they don't need to be. It doesn't need to be. You know. It's just a yellow stick note, you know, and there's nothing wrong with you know, you go to a Five and Dime with one of those spiral notebooks, you know?
Yeah.
And you tear it out and it's got all those little fringe on the side, you know, you tear it out on a spiral notebook, it looks like a real page out of a real notebook, and they just handwrite the note and tape it to the door. It's like the yellow letter on the legal pad, you know. Get their 15-year-old girl to handwrite it. Here's the thing about marketing door to door. It's got to look real and not from a company. It's got to look real and not from a company. Right?
Yeah.
It's like Mike Cantu, you know, it's all that. It's all that stuff. And people want to talk to a real person and not a company.
Yeah. One person.
So let's just put on the marketing plan, and especially ones that are leads that are bought at the top of the market, you know. Those are ideal because a lot of them think that they can't sell. You know, the expired takes a little bit of, you know, you just keep at it. If it expires today, it's once a week for 4 weeks on postcards, you know, and it's like, you really like to see your house if it's still for sale. You know, just keep at them hard once a week. because, you don't want them signing with another agent, right? It's like the best lead.
I got to imagine these people are just getting bombarded right now too. Like realtors would just they must be working. If I was a realtor, I'd be hitting that expired hard.
Yeah.
Every kind of house type.
I'd be obnoxious. I'd take no friggin' prisoners. I would be aggressive.
But even if you were that realtor, you'd still have to have something different than everybody else. You'd have to come at it with a little bit more creativity than just the 6% solution. But
no,
I would imagine
you know what they come at? You know what they come at? They come at it like the good ones. They'll come at it with getting the buyer realistic. That's
Sure.
what they'll come at the buyer. The seller. The seller. They will get the seller says, look, having this thing vacant and having this thing, the cost to sell and having, the all of that is costing you money every month. Let's just set this thing at a price that will sell. And I'll lose 1 point of the 6 points to get the listing. But we have to have an agreement where we enter the market at a price that people will go, hey, let's get this out. It's the right price. And that's their presentation. It's nothing different. It's just entering the market at the right price. And if they have no equity, they can't afford to do that.
Yeah.
And all an expired needs to hear is one presentation from another realtor that's trying to get them to be realistic about their price and them feeling that we can't afford to do that. And they don't want to keep talking to people on that line. They don't want to pull money out of savings to get rid of their house.
Well, that segues nicely into the rest of my day, because I have a 1:30 appointment with a couple who have a pretty nice house, who let their listing expire in August.
Okay.
And I'm excited to kind of get to know them a little bit and hear a little bit more about how that initial listing went.
Sure.
But I'm going to them assuming there's a very realistic chance to do a lease option on this. They told me on the phone initially that they didn't get
keep talking. Yeah.
They didn't get a lot of aggression from the real estate agent when they listed it the first time. They didn't really get any offers. I think they got 2 offers, and they just weren't the number that they wanted. I couldn't get the number out of them that they got, but they just couldn't get the number they wanted. So anyways, I let them know, by no means I'm not a realtor, but I wanted to see their house and basically just get the appointment set. So,
one of the things
about it,
one of the things you gotta try to do is if you got a low equity deal. I saw your business plan. There was one thing I wanted to talk to you about it.
You did see that? Okay.
Yeah, I wanna show you something. I'm gonna share the screen here so you can see what I'm looking at. So your low equity. Okay. Your low equity strategy. Can you see what I highlighted?
Yep.
Okay. Can we do this? Can we, instead of put lease option strategy, can we say seller financing strategy?
Absolutely.
Okay. And the reason why is we might do a subject to on a low equity deal, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if they hate renting, the lease option's not going to work.
Yep.
If they have a really nice house and they don't want renters in there and they're emotionally attached to that house, So if I have a low equity deal, I basically want to let them know that the state of California allows them to do a couple of different things. And it really kind of depends on where your feelings are. And we can get this property sold quickly within a week, but it would entail perhaps you keeping the loan in your name for a period of time. You might hate that idea, and I'd have to check it over with my business partner. But I mean, if you would consider doing that, we could get the sales price at probably whatever the payoff amount is. You would sell the house for whatever you owe against it. Would that be something we could talk about? Or maybe not? And that's your first entry into like really low equity, like 5%, something like that.
Yep.
And that would be a subject to, and before you make an offer on a subject to like that, you got to look at the existing financing and know whether or not you want that existing financing, right?
Yeah.
If it's an ARM, you may not want it.
Right. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So that's the only change I would make on the low equity campaign. I would change it to seller financing, and then you would call defining seller financing. How would you define it? My definition is this: any way you can help the buyer buy it. Any way. That's seller financing. So that would include what? It would include a subject to. It would include a wraparound mortgage, AITD, right?
Yep.
And it would include a contract for sale, which is like a contract for deed. And that's allowable in the state of California. Right? And your exit strategy, you really got to take a look. If you're buying this thing, you've got to say, do I want this thing as a rental?
Yeah.
Is it going to cash flow? What's the cash flow? What's the taxes? I'm buying it. I got to pay all the underlying.
Yep.
And if it's a negative cash flow, you probably don't want to do it. You probably want to do the lease option assignment on it.
Yep. Yep. Where is it? Yeah. What's the dirt sitting on? What's the neighborhood like?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just that's the only change I would make in that number one there. Okay.
Sure.
The absentee campaign number 2 that you had there. People that live outside and they have a rental. It kind of depends on their experience, right? If they had a good time being a landlord, a bad time being a landlord, whatever. And if they're calling you, they probably had a bad time being a landlord.
Yeah.
And that's great what you got there, number 2. Number 3, Craigslist marketing. What's the Koga book, by the way?
He had, and I went through it on the weekend, but he has a I think it's called Crushing It with Craigslist. It's just kind of a quirky little 40-page handbook on how he goes after Craigslist leads, and he has some unique ways to set up searches, and he has some techie ways but there's some time savers in his plan, and things like canned responses and how to follow up.
Joe McCall, you mean?
No.
Who is this? Who is this?
Jeff Koga. He's in LA.
Oh, Jeff Koga. Sorry.
Yep. He's in LA, and he's got a podcast, and he's got a lot of information on. They do a lot of internet marketing.
Okay.
They do a lot of, they do options, they do all kinds of different financing, and they primarily do wholesaling and fix and flip, so single family houses.
Okay. So you got this from Amazon?
Yeah, but don't buy it, please, because I bought it and then I found it on his frickin' Facebook for free. So.
Well, send it to me.
Okay.
And I'd like to take a look at it. I can't see everything. It's impossible. So how would you grade this thing as far as worth your time?
Oh, I mean, I probably spent Saturday morning at it for 2.5 hours looking at it, and I got some major nuggets out of it. Like major nuggets.
Good.
I mean, his podcast, Real Estate Strategy Lab, I think it's called. He's got a lot of information on internet marketing. It's way beyond me, but he's got a lot of stuff in there.
That's cool. Okay.
But very good information in there. He gave me probably 3 or 4 different things I'd never even heard of that I can use for free. So The whole point of the Craigslist marketing is to get something automated and to get something done with virtually free, and something that you can just put on a system and just do it every day of the week, and eventually get a VA to do it, to create leads from sellers and buyers. More of a wholesale model, but it's something else that you can put over in the water.
That's fine. You can tell, if you're dealing with trying to get a property manager, if you can deal with that, you can say, look, if you can help me, great. If you can't, great. We're trying to buy 3 or 4 properties that are listed on your website, but we do buy them on terms. We don't buy them necessarily on cash. We will give a better price than buying it on cash if we can get our term. Would you be interested in working with me? Just try that. Right?
Could I also let you know about the property management stuff? There is a different podcast with Matt Terrio, and he has a student in Cleveland, and he has gone to all the property management websites, and he scraped and created a database out of all the vacant properties. And then he started marketing to all those vacant properties that were on the property management websites.
Right.
And this student who had, no experience prior, but this student did some ninja marketing that anybody could do for free. I mean, obviously I'm set up, so I have access to a title company website, so you can give me any address, and I can probably tell you the mailing address for that owner.
That's great.
So that's something that you could automate that. You could have a VA scrape that information and compile a database, put it through click to mail, and every week you could have postcards going out, and just touch that owner. And in the meantime, you can start touching the property management company and build a relationship and tell them what you're doing, what you're trying to do, and how they can if you can put a deal together, they can be a part of it.
Now, is there a scraper software, or is it a VA reading through and cut and paste?
No, you're going to have somebody with 2 feet and a heartbeat to go through all the websites and get the phone numbers and the mailing, the site address, and then they're going to have to go back and find the mailing address, and But anybody can do that if you show them how to do it. Just do a Camtasia video on how to do it. I mean,
exactly.
Talking about $2 an hour, you can get somebody to do that for you.
Well, there's a good, reliable company for that kind of stuff. It's called, I think, 123employee.com. It's out of the Philippines. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Well, I use Odesk.
Odesk is okay. It just, you got to be careful. You got to be careful as far as finding reliability, I guess. Reliability.
Yeah. Would you say 123employee.com?
123employee.com, or it's either that or employee123.com. I forget what I can tell you in a second.
Did you have a bad experience with Odesk, or did somebody you know have a bad experience?
All I can say is I've used 123 Employee, and I've been happy with it.
Okay.
And they do everything. They do everything. Here it is. It's 123employee.com, based in Manila. They'll do everything. They're really real estate investor oriented too.
Oh yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I never heard of them. Odesk will overwhelm you because when you post a job on there, you'll get 100 people wanting to do your job.
I know. And you know what? You don't have time to sift through them. You need like HR, you know. What I'll do is I will, it's 123employee.com. Check them out. Give them a little test. They're really, again, they're like, you know, they got a low package for like 40 hours at $347 per month, 10 hours per week, you know. That's $3.47 an hour.
Yeah, well, see, I've had a girl do some spreadsheet editing for me that's just stuff that I don't even know how to do it, but I can do a Camtasia video. Right. She can do it. $1.67 an hour. It's ridiculous.
Well, that's awesome.
So, well, anyways, in any case, Brian.
Yeah, I'm gonna just want to finish up this Word doc here. Your old lead. You're sending postcards, and these are out-of-state or out-of-the-area landlords, right?
Yeah, that's what I call a dog's breakfast. So since I started, everything I've ever kept a hold of, I just need to go back. If I got a name and an address, they're going to get a postcard because maybe they got an offer, maybe they had a phone call. Who knows? Put them in a database.
Dog's breakfast. Okay, get that.
Just put it in a bag and shake it up and throw it out, and that's what it is. I don't know what it is. But they need to get touched again, because at one point they raised their hands. So let's do that over again.
Well, probate, you going to try to find a lawyer for that?
Well, I've done probate. I've pulled probate leads before, and again, my goal is I know how to go to the courthouse, pull the list, get somebody else to do it. Is my thought process right now. Mm-hmm. So I know how to find the PR and to get that mailing started and to get that automated. It's very time consuming, and nobody does it unless you go down there yourself and do it, because you can't find that stuff on the internet, not in California, because it's not on public databases. Right. You got to go to the courthouse and pull those files yourself.
Well, you might want to try to find a retired guy at the REIA that has good eyesight and reliability, good handwriting, and just. Sorry?
I did it in the past, and I just went on Craigslist for a gig, and it's too bad, but I was green at the time, and I was only getting 30 leads a month, and I didn't think it was enough, so I quit doing it. But I know better now.
Yeah.
You just get somebody. It's not hard. You meet with somebody one time, you show them what to do, and they just fill in an Excel sheet, and they send it to you, and you put the mailing together, or you automate that. The point is you can do that, put it in place, do a video on how to do it, take your frickin' iPhone and do a video in the courthouse of how to do it and all the steps that are involved with it, put it on YouTube, and then you can put a gig on Craigslist, and anybody can apply to it, and anybody can just follow the video and go do it.
Perfect. Let's get that done within a couple of weeks.
So another thing I want you to see, Brian, is another ninja thing. See this inherited lists? I mean, that's self-explanatory. That's just another list you can buy. But send 12 by 18 inch iBuy pieces.
Yes.
So I don't know if you've heard of this before, and I'm going to go to the postal office and confirm this, but take a chloroplast iBuy sign, like the 2 foot by 1 foot sign that you put iBuy on and write your marker on.
Right.
Like for a bandit sign, it's bandit sign.
Yeah.
Take your bandit sign. Take your bandit sign, cut it down to 12 by 12 or whatever, and write it. It's just a big obnoxious postcard. And for $2, you can send that through USPS, and you can send it to somebody. You're going to get a phone call. It might not be a pretty one, but you're going to get their attention.
Well, okay. All right. It sounds like a fun thing to do. I would do a video on that just as a gaffe, you know.
So I've got a list of, I've got 4 houses. 2 of them are $1 million properties that are empty, and the other ones are just nasty little houses that are just straight up wholesale deals. They're rentals for this time. But I've been mailing to those guys for a long time. I've never heard anything from them, and I'm tempted to do this with them.
Okay. Well, give that a go.
If you got that in your mailbox, even if you had an AIM mailbox, like a postal, a private mailbox, you'd have to sign to get it because it wouldn't fit in the mailbox. It's not like it's costing you $20. It cost you $2 to send it. So what the hell? Sure, you get a phone call.
Yeah, I think it's good. You know. Anything that's outside the box, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You ever think of just putting a sale and purchase agreement in a piece of paper, like a real 1-page sale and purchase agreement? Fill in the amount and give me a call. Don't sign it. You know?
Yeah, I've done that before, but I've always done it very randomly. But I've never done it with consistency. But I have done it before.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, if you can give me a fair price, I'll sign this agreement. You let me know what you want.
So what are you saying? You're leaving the blank open?
What I'm saying is, it's kind of like the philosophy of marketing where you stick a penny and you tape it, or $1 and you tape it to the letter. It's kind of like getting their attention in a unique way. It's kind of like you could just have like a yellow letter kind of cover letter saying like, I'd really like to sign this agreement that's attached if you're sincere about selling your house. And then I would put sale and purchase agreement, price is, and then, you know, to be determined or something like that. And then closing date within 14 days. Address, you know, something like that. It's really just, it's kind of like to get them in, you know, a legal contract. Seller's name, seller's address, seller's phone number. You know, fax this into me.
Yep. It could be the same single page document that you send to your escrow company.
Yeah.
You know?
No, exactly. And it's just like, you know, here is a sale and purchase agreement. I'd really like to buy your house. Of course, it's a little more complicated than this, but this basically sets the discussion to get the price and everything determined. So fill in the blanks and scan it and email it to me or fax it to this number, you know? Yeah.
Well, everything that's on here is the goal is to get something very, I mean, I got to get something going. And these are all actions I think that will create leads. Because I'm going on 3 weeks and I haven't had my frickin' phone ring. And it's driving me crazy.
Yeah, there's one other thing you can do. You get another domain name and forward it to your subdomain. You know what I mean? Could be Fast Cash Corona or something like that.
Yeah.
Instead of your subdomain name. And you could just use that, and when they click on Fast Cash Corona, your subdomain comes up, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not trying to get you to spend more money. I'm just saying it's cleaner than the subdomain.
You're saying for Craigslist? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, you could just, again, have a cleaner URL than a subdomain. That's all.
Yeah, no, I was thinking that. I was thinking of that too, Brian. And it's all nasty, but I got a game plan just for Craigslist. And that's one of them, is to have that set up.
All right.
I just got it written. Like, my goal this week is to get Craigslist going so that I can get it automated. I can get someone else doing it. And I got to get my next absentee mailer ready for production. I got to get the criteria. I got to figure out. I already know my mail piece. I basically just got to get a criteria and get a list populated so that I can start production on my absentee postcards. I'd like to get that done.
Why don't you send me an email based on just drill it down to a checklist? Okay. This is more of a marketing plan, Doc. Just give me a checklist that you want to get done this week. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And then, and make it steps that you can check off. You know what I mean? Not something to think about, but just, like, for instance, in this number 5, you could say, send 100 postcards or something like that at the post office. Old lead. Whatever. Something like that. Get to, like, for instance, get to REIA this week and talk to the head of the REIA about speaking about bird dog. Okay? And use bird dog cash, as a way to manage your bird dog. Okay? Take a look at the site. I don't like the video. It's got to be redone, and I can redo it. But yeah, that's what I would do. And think about going on Craigslist and driving them to Bird Dog Cash to fill out a form, for Corona area, to do some door knocking. And my, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I got you. I'll definitely look into that.
And think about going down to the Corona Riverside Community College and talking to business-oriented majors, the head of the department, and talk about what do I need to do to get an internship. Especially ones that want a sales and marketing job. But I'm going to let you go. I'm going to wish you a great day. And you stay out of trouble. I think you've got a pretty good to-do list.
Yeah, well, I think we're at a point now where all I am going to focus on is creating leads. That's the only thing I'm going to spend any of my time doing, is making sure that, I'll even get more specific on making a checklist, but every one of these 5 is something that I can do to make that phone ring. Get an email, create information and contacts through a squeeze page. Get that, get a pipe, start farming, start building, I've got just my old leads. Why aren't those people on a consistent drip?
They will be. They will be.
Why is that?
I don't want to do it right now because I got a 10:30, but I use a drip feed video email. It's a video email, and it's through bombbomb.com. BombBomb. I don't know if you ever heard of that, but let me show it to you real quick. Hang on.
I was wondering about that too, about how
let me get into. I gotta get it back into the screen share. It's not the cheapest thing to do, but I really like it. Here is my BombBomb account. So BombBomb is a video, email, one-stop shop. They will do everything. If you want to look into my account, feel free. It's team@reiskills.com and JACOB1. Okay? And what I can do is I can create an email and embed a video. I can create a list like MailChimp or Aweber. I can create a form for them to fill out, and I can do a drip. And the drip, it will give me really good analytics as far as, like every hour my students get a different video if they're brand new. Okay? Does that make sense? Do you see that?
Interesting. Yeah.
So when they fill out a form, they're going to get a video on the first hour, second hour, third hour, fourth hour, fifth hour kind of thing. All right? And then I can add a new drip. So whenever I get a new lead, they go through this drip. And the other thing that's cool about it, Ray, is I will be notified if they open it.
Huh.
Let me show you what I mean by that.
You know what's working.
I need to know who is actually opening it. And you see this? Like this guy opened up the welcome to video. This guy clicked on a link. So this guy clicked on a link on my website. See? Which is very, very cool, right?
Some major stalker stuff here.
Yeah, you're stalking them. You know exactly what they're doing. This guy opened up this email. Yeah.
Wow. So you get receipts on.
The receipts, yeah.
Huh.
Pretty cool.
Well, has its place for that for sure. I don't have a lot of email addresses from my old leads, but I do have some. But in any case, that's a definite tool to look into.
Well, think about getting copy for a FSBO lead, how to help them sell their house. This is Ray Johnson. We coach FSBOs on how to sell their house, that kind of thing. On the exterior of your house, you've got to look at this as cheap ways to get your frontage appeal. The next video is going to be on how to inexpensively. Okay, I got to go.
All right.
You be good.
Yeah, thanks. Okay.
Bye.